Can they hear me? Can they hear me live out there? Next beat. That ain't the beat I wanted to.
Those was wood
another
beats
beat.
right
Another
there.
beat. Nope. Give me another beat. Give me another beat. Nope. That's not it. That's the beat. Turn it up.
Oh, word.
Turn it up. I gotta hear it a little louder. Can you make it louder than my headphones? Turn me up in my headphones. I'm still stuck in the 80s/90s. Lottos, kangaroo boots, nanny ghosts, Beelers, jumpsuits and troops, Junos, color Levi's, Bugs Bunny sweaters with the rhinestone ring on it. Fighting and making up the next day. Nobody getting shot. Working or hustling to get it, or get got. We had love for the streets, our family, our foes, our friends. Respect for the elderly. Pager/payphone, sneaking into Adams Theater. Watching Crush grooving tougher than leather. Hopping gates out the college port to bank out, cause you don't wanna get caught at mom's crib or at Von's crib. Eating funny dinner with the fam. Church every Sunday, 8 o'clock a.m. And even if I fell asleep in the back row or played sick, no matter what, man, I still had to go 80s, baby. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. 80s, baby. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper.
Welcome back, everybody, to the X-Cast, episode number 58 of the X-Cast, to be exact. It is day 4,854 in the search for Tim Shovelday. Before we even get started in some of the stuff that you probably know or are guessing we're going to talk about tonight, I do want to thank all of the people who, a lot of you I've never even met in person, who listened to this or one of my other shows, who reached out to make sure that I was okay, because I was in Las Vegas when this stuff happened, when this mass shooting occurred. So I'll just, get that out of the way right now and say really thank you very much from the bottom of my heart to everybody that, of course I had a lot of friends and family that reached out, people I know personally, but a lot of people that only know me from one of the shows just, reached out. So thank you for that. I do appreciate it, and I'm glad, and, I'm blessed, and thank God I'm home safe. So, but I am your host. I am Josh Houselander. This is episode number 58 of the X-Cast, and with me as always is Mr. Adam Hernandez.
Am I a jerk off for not calling to see if you're okay?
Yeah,
because I thought you were home like the day before.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I guess you kind of are. Your wife texted me.
No, but then I saw that thing that you were safe on Facebook.
Yeah, it kept prompting me to
to post something,
and I was like, yeah, I guess I should, because I was honestly, I admit, me and Mike and Nick from Settled on the Screen Live, we were there, and we were kind of making fun of that thing on Facebook at first. Yeah. I mean, I admit, we were kind of like, because they came over the news and were like, and remember, make sure you check yourself in safe on Facebook. And we're like, really, is that what's most important right now, that people are saying that? But then when I did go on Facebook, I was like, I probably should check safe on there, just so, people know what's up. And
does that freak you out that it knows that you were there?
Yes, it does. Although, if anyone deserves it, it's me, because I was streaming live from Las Vegas all weekend long. So yes, it does freak me out that they, know where I'm at, and there's all these strange Facebook and internet algorithms that know what you're doing all the time. So yes, as a crazy tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist, yeah, of course it freaks me out big time. But, hey, it's my own fault. I'm the one that's all over Facebook and, trying to shamelessly self-promote my social media presence on a regular basis. So what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
But, no, I guess it is a good idea, I guess I am glad that they had that, because, yeah, you did have a lot of people, I did have a lot of people wondering, and but most of the people were like, oh, holy crap, you were there? And no, I was not at the concert. I was,
you're not much of a country music fan.
No, I've always been proud to not be a country music fan, and I guess I am, even more so now, because if I was, if it was a alternative rock festival and I was going to be in Las Vegas anyway, I'd be like, oh, sweet, let's go see Weezer or something, or something like that, but. It would never occur to me to go to a country music concert, because that's just not my thing, not my cup of tea. But it was crazy, though. I was supposed to leave that night. I was actually on a plane right when it happened, and they diverted all the flights. And luckily, we were one of the flights that got out of there early, and I was able to get out of the airport. Even though certain areas were on lockdown, and we made it to a Best Western and just hunkered down.
Well, give us what happened. What was the because it happened just after 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Las Vegas time.
Yeah, my flight was supposed to leave at 11 p.m.
Okay.
Las Vegas time.
So what was the timeline of events here? Did it what was going on when you were on the plane? How did it get announced? What was the reaction of the people on the plane?
They were pretty freaked out. We're on the plane. We're on early. We're ahead of schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Looked like the plane was loaded. We started taxiing around the runway, and it just seemed like it was taxiing an extra long time. We were like what's going on? This airport's not that big. And Nick from Settled on the Screen, it kind of said okay, it seems like we're kind of right, going in a circle here, and then we stopped for a while, and people seemed to be getting a little antsy, and the pilot did come over and say, just to let you know, not really sure what the airport's official policy is going to be, but there is an active shooter at Mandalay Bay right now, so and he used this word, which then later the security officers there did not want to use this term, but he said, so we're not sure if the airport is going to go on lockdown or not. Mm-hmm. And we sat there, and that plane never did take off. So
how long were you sitting there on the runway for?
Quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
Before they did eventually make the decision to this flight is being diverted.
How were you feeling? Were you just wanting to get out of there? Were you concerned?
Yeah, what I didn't quite understand is if this stuff's going on in Vegas, why don't they let us take off? Get as many people out of this area as possible. But what people kind of theorized is that they wanted to leave the runways open because Mandalay Bay is so close to the airport, mm-hmm. right there. I mean, it's less than a mile away. As the crow flies, anyway, it's less than a mile away. Through the streets, it might be more. But it's very close. Very visible right from the airport. And what people are kind of theorizing is they needed to leave the runways open in case they diverted a bunch of people off the strip onto the airport.
Well, not to mention, too, nobody knew what was going on, really.
No, it
was, they didn't know if this was another terrorist attack, if they were, if planes were being commandeered.
I guess bombs on board.
Exactly.
Anywhere,
I guess it's better safe than sorry than to start having right. a bunch of planes taken off and have another potential 9/11 scenario happen where terrorists are using planes as missiles and flying those into buildings. So I guess they just gotta be prepared for
right.
anything
right.
and everything.
Whether you believe that jet fuel can melt steel beams or not, you should know that either way you don't want to. Risk such a thing, a terrorist attack. But and this was a terrorist attack. It doesn't sound like it was an Islamic terrorist attack, or in the the same vein that unfortunately the world's been kind of plagued with here. When it comes to certain radical aspects of certain religions. But this was still a guy committing terror, and
I guess yeah. In a common sense term,
mm-hmm.
it is a terrorist attack. I guess that. There's a government official definition of a terrorist attack, and it's based off of political motivation,
political or religious, or or something along those
exactly.
lines.
Which I guess they're still unsure of.
Right. I guess this is a homegrown terrorist, but his only ideology, from what it sounds like from the story we're being given, and nobody really knows at this point, but from the story we're being given, it sounds like he's just a guy that flipped out. His only ideology being crazy and being wanting to be a murderer.
Before we get into that, though, Josh, what was? I wanted you to kind of finish the story with.
Mm-hmm.
with.
Sure.
You weren't actually at Mandalay Bay or at the concert, but you were within the city limits. It seems like of everything that was going on, and there was still.
And Las Vegas is a big place, but even considering that, I was very close.
And there was still chaos. What was? When you guys got off the plane, what was the feeling like in the airport? And
it was scary. There was a lot of people running around. There was alarms going off.
Okay.
big time, like loud alarms with blue flashing lights going on in the airport.
Did you see police?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And, absolutely a ton of police. And they kept coming over to the loudspeakers at the airport telling everyone to remain calm. They were not.
People weren't remaining.
No.
How were the police? Were they kind of freaking out, or
but they seemed to be like not really even talking to people. They seemed to be just kind of moving towards the exits, blockading things, going off. And then when we did get out of the airport, it was just nothing but sirens everywhere, just police cars, ambulances. Just ambulances everywhere.
Because
they must have every ambulance in. I think they must every ambulance in the state of Nevada. They must have just started diverting.
Because you got to put this. You got to put this in perspective as well. This became the largest or the most deadly mass shooting in United States history.
Right.
That's the perspective of all of this. And again, Josh, you weren't there. You weren't at Mandalay Bay. You weren't at the concert, but you were close to it to know, get some type of experience of what the atmosphere was like within the proximity of the city of Las Vegas.
No, it's true. And we left the airport, we got out of there, and we were kind of thinking at the time, we're like, listen, I don't want to get stuck in this airport all night. This is terrible, and this isn't about us, but let's just get to a cheap hotel room somewhere. Listen, it's Las Vegas, okay? It's awesome, it's fun, it's a great city to be in, but when you're there for 3-4 days, it's time to go home.
Yeah.
Usually
broke.
Yeah, exactly. You hit Vegas. You hit Vegas hard, and we hit Vegas. Although we were there to work, we did hit Vegas in the traditional way.
Sure,
in a lot of ways. in a lot of ways, we did hit Vegas in the very traditional sense. So you're on the plane. You're looking to go home at this point. So when we got off, we were like, okay, listen, we're not getting home tonight. Let's get out of here. Let's get to let's just get to a cheap motel room on the outskirts somewhere and do it. So we got in a cab. We made our way to Best Western, which is right down the street basically. And we just jumped in there and we just thought, let's just get there. Let's hunker down and let's just stay the night and leave in the morning. Because they did give us plane tickets to leave again at 11 a.m. the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
And people are saying like, oh, you didn't get them to pay for your hotel, and technically I think you could have done that, but we're like, let's just get out of here and just get somewhere and get to a bed somewhere and
go to sleep.
Yeah. So when you show up there, it's Las Vegas. The city never sleeps. All this stuff. So there's kind of like these people. The place, the Best Western, we stayed at the Downtown Grand while we were there. Very cool hotel. Not on the Strip, but in like the old-fashioned downtown part of Vegas. Very cool. And so, you're staying, that's a casino. But this was not. This was just a little
Best Western
on the outskirts of town.
Was there like a slot machine or anything?
There was not.
No.
There was not, surprisingly. I thought there was not a place anywhere in Vegas that didn't have it. Because, even the airport is like a casino.
Yeah.
When you're in Vegas. But this Best Western was not. It was like every Best Western you've ever seen in Michigan or Iowa or Florida or anywhere else. It looked exactly like it. We got there and it's Vegas, so there's people who are it's midnight, but they're looking to go out for the night.
Mm-hmm.
And you just kind of had this sense where people are like, God, we're here in Las Vegas, should we still
gamble,
go do something?
Yeah.
People have plans to do stuff. So like when we got there was like some young people there who were kind of looking like, should we go do something? Or is this like kind of like for solemn purposes? Should we just not? Or should we not because it's dangerous? Or, what exactly should we do?
That's kind of it's an interesting point you bring up,
mm-hmm.
Josh, just because, I don't think that's something that somebody really thinks about,
mm-hmm.
because
keep in mind this is still somebody's vacation, and it might be their only vacation for a couple of years or something.
And and that may be a selfish way of looking at things, but
mm-hmm.
It's not like you were in Houston, or it's not like you're in like another Midwestern city or Kansas City or something like that, where
sure.
if something were to happen, you don't know what to do. I mean, people primarily go to Las Vegas to have fun.
Right.
So yeah, what do you do? I mean, is it? I mean, when something like that happens, is it okay to continue to gamble, or I mean,
sure.
what do you do? I mean, that's
sure. I mean, and that was kind of like the place, because these people who are there at this place, nobody would come to Las Vegas to stay at this particular Best Western.
Yeah.
You know, they were obviously there like, hey, let's just stay somewhere on the outskirts. Let's cab or Uber into the city or into the Strip and just party.
Yeah.
You know, but so there are probably people that, you know, maybe this is the first time they've seen Las Vegas. Maybe these aren't people staying at the Bellagio or Mandalay Bay or, you know, one
Caesars,
of these.
Yeah,
they're not staying there. These are people just like, hey, let's just try to get a Vegas weekend, do it as cheap as we can, and party for a couple nights and head home. And like I said, it was a lot of young people who were there, you know. So when we got in there, though, you know, we got into the motel. We just got a room, and we're just like, well, we're tired. You know, we're not there to party at this point.
Yeah.
You know, we're tired. We, you know, hit the vending machine, grabbed some Cheez-Its, you know, and we're just like, well, let's go. And we went in the room at the Best Western and turned on the news. Basically, like most people, if you were up, you were turning on the news, you know, to see what was going on. But after that, when we were kind of going out, trying to, you know, just get the bearing of the room, get some ice, things like that, that's when people started to empty into the Best Western. And that's when it became a bit of a madhouse, because people are just looking for a hotel room. They can't get back to
wherever
either their plane or, you know, if they were in a big hotel at the Strip, they're just trying to find a place to lay low and hunker down. And you see a lot of people that, I mean, a lot of these people are just, you know, they're covered in dirt. They look haggard. They look tired and worn. And these aren't necessarily the people that were shot at, but they were people that were pushed off the Strip, in essence. Because when you walked out of the front door of this Best Western, you saw Mandalay Bay. That is exactly how close it was. I mean, you walked out there, and that's I took a picture of it, just how exactly it looked when you walked out of the front door of this Best Western. Your view was of the huge Mandalay Bay casino with you know, that this shooter inevitably, you know, shot a window out of.
Two
windows out of.
Oh, he hammered. Looks like.
Oh, really? Is that what he did?
Looks like he used a hammer to.
He didn't want to waste a potential bullet or something. Really, how ridiculous.
Yeah, I guess.
But no, I mean, but crazy stuff. And that's when, you know, there was a gas station, for instance, that, you know, the cab driver passed right next to this Best Western, and it was just filled with people milling around, just like, what do we do? You know, because, you know, if you're staying on the Strip, you can't get to your hotel. If you're maybe you don't want to get to your hotel, you know, you don't really want to be going out into the city again, where there could potentially be more danger. But it was a crazy scene. It absolutely was a crazy scene, and people were going nuts. You know, that is for sure. It was very surreal. You know, and being there, you know, again, not, you know, I'm in no way trying to make myself the victim here, because I was never in danger. But being there, it was just it was very surreal, thinking that, God, this is one of those things in 20 years from now, when people ask, you know, where were you during the shooting? Like, oh, I was right down the street. You know, it was a couple blocks away. I was within sight distance of Mandalay Bay, in essence. So really crazy, really very, very, very crazy, very very surreal experience. And you know, hey, I'm blessed. Nothing happened to me or to, you know, to people I know, and my heart goes out to the people that you know were actually affected by it. You know, the way I was affected was I had to stay another night in Vegas. You know, that's not you know, plan. You know, but hey, I admit, you know, our money was spent. So it's just like, oh geez, oh crap, we gotta get a hotel room. All right. You know,
they wouldn't let you stay in the airport.
No, they would, but
you don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I wanted to do is stay up all night in an airport at that point. So we just we made it there, and we had our ticket for the next morning. We knew we weren't leaving before 11 a.m. the next morning. So it's like, well, let's go get someplace to sleep, you know. And we did, and had the stellar Best Western breakfast that I'm sure most people across the world have had at some point.
Continental.
And the kind of like the grayish sausage patties that, well, Adam, you don't eat meat, but
that's
I considered not eating meat that morning too. But I did. Yeah, the stale bagels and a fruit cup, but hey, it's better than nothing, right? Beats the Cheez-Its we had for dinner. But it was strange. It was, obviously very strange and very crazy. And what are you gonna do? Like, even though we were exhausted, we wouldn't turn the news off. We're just like, well, let's leave this on and
how could
see
you?
What happens.
How could you really?
Yeah, no, you can. What is there to say? I don't know. I just the story seems so weird to me. I'm not trying to be like, oh no, I don't believe the official story. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm hoping this isn't a Deep Issues cast. In a year or a year and a half, where we're talking about how were we being lied to about what happened. But as more things come out, I hope that we just kind of get to the bottom of it and figure it out, because it does seem like just such a strange thing. I don't know what this guy was. If you're trying to oversimplify what this guy was doing, we know that he was a successful guy with a good chunk of money.
They said he was
around the Vegas area.
They said he was a multi-millionaire, retired accountant, obviously independently wealthy.
And they say he was a hell of a card player, and that he was known around the casinos and used to spend a lot of money.
High roller.
Yeah, big time high roller. And they said that recently he's really been, even more so than normal, dropping about $10,000 a day.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Did he make a bet that was too big and lose too much and flip out? They're talking about his wife being
girlfriend.
Girlfriend, yes,
yep, girlfriend.
Being away in Vegas or being away in Europe. Did his old lady leave him and he flipped out? Did he?
Well, that's I don't think he was in. She wasn't in Europe. I think she was. I don't know if she's in Australia or she's in the Philippines. But he wired $100,000 to the Philippines. I don't know if it was just prior or days before or what, but he did wire a bunch of money to the Philippines. But they're trying to figure out why he did that. But his living girlfriend is actually, I don't know if she's on her way back to the United States right now, but she is cooperating. She is on her way back.
That's what I've heard. His brother as well.
Yeah, she is on her way back, and they're gonna try to get as much information out of her as they possibly can. But it's I'm with you, Josh. I don't think that there's any big conspiracy or anything to this.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really odd when it comes to why this guy would do something like this, because it seems like by now, this happened Sunday night,
right?
Early morning here on the East Coast, but there usually is a motive coming out of
right.
this by now. Whether he was mentally deranged, if he had like some political motive, if
Adam, even that I have such trouble with like he's mentally disturbed. There's a lot of people on planet Earth who are depressed or have mental issues or are
no, I know,
and they don't shoot up.
Well, look, the thing is, I'm not trying to pinpoint one thing or the other with when it comes to this. I'm just saying by this point in time,
mm-hmm.
we usually have some type of motive to go along, whether complete or not. There's usually something there
mm-hmm.
that leads people to in a direction as to why this person may have done something like this.
No, you're right. It does kind of come down to this question sometimes, where sometimes people, myself included, and then probably yourself included, oftentimes want to say, like, what is the motive? Why did he do this? What drove him this? But is there just, every once in a while, is there just somebody that is just evil and they snap and they do something heinous? And maybe there is no terrible motive other than you are miswired and evil, and you just do something terrible.
I guess if that was the case, if he was miswired, then I don't know. To me, it seems like there would be warning signs, red flags going up prior to. Now they're saying this guy had zero record, just about. I mean, the only thing he had was a traffic ticket or something like that. Sure. But something as minor as is that.
And even the stuff they're coming up with to me is like the stuff they say. Well, they're saying that he had I mean, his collection of guns or his none of it seems crazy to me. I mean, really, not, like I feel like when they're trying to come up with motives at this point, it's grasping at straws. The only thing that's even been off the radar at all, and it sounds like this was complete BS, was ISIS coming out and saying he's recently converted to Islam. This was done for us, but there is zero rock solid proof to that. And I mean, you're going to believe ISIS? I mean, what I mean?
That's just ISIS trying to.
Yeah, they're just trying to take credit for somebody else's work.
Yeah,
is all they're doing.
And
probably.
Yes.
I mean,
probably.
We don't know. I mean.
Well, I mean, if you want to reach on it, I mean, the Philippines. There's an ISIS. I don't know if it's an ISIS, but there are terrorist groups in the Philippines, and if you want to make that reach, then I guess that's an avenue that you can go down. But ultimately, I don't believe that there's any foreign terrorist involvement with something like this.
Well, and when I talk about when they're, and I agree, Adam, and when they're talking about people grasping at, when I was talking about people grasping at straws for some of this, I mean, I've seen on the news that, this man had been accumulating guns for over 20 years. Well, you know what? Every guy that I go deer hunting with, I go deer hunting every year with several guys in their 50s and 60s. Every one of them, you could say, this individual has been accumulating guns for over 20 years. They're never going to shoot up, the Strip in Las Vegas. They're never going to harm another person. A 64-year-old man who's been accumulating guns for 20 years, especially if that person has money, if that person happens to be a multimillionaire, nothing unusual about that statement. I mean, really, zero. If I all of a sudden become a multimillionaire at age 44, then you will easily be able to say about me at age 64, oh, he was accumulating guns. You could also say if I get a bunch of speeding tickets, he was accumulating cars for over 20 years. You know what I mean? Do you get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
Dude had money, so he had a lot of stuff. In essence, is what is being said when one makes that statement. Now, I know people that don't like guns would say, well, but why guns? Guns are bad. Well, I mean, I don't particularly like jewelry, so that's probably not what I would buy if I was really rich. And I realize that jewelry can't hurt people the way guns can. But some people just like guns. I mean, really, like if, like I said, I know guys who are hunters who don't even have a ton of money. But, guys, 60 years old, you could easily say about that person, he's been accumulating guns for the last 20 years. Because he bought a gun or two every single year for 20 years.
No, I hear what you're saying, and yes, I mean, people have their hobbies, and some hobbies are collecting guns. I can understand that. When it comes to guns, though, and yes, you don't like jewelry. Jewelry, for the very most part, doesn't kill anybody.
Guns don't kill people either. People kill people.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. It does take a person to pull the trigger.
Right.
But when we're talking about guns, I mean, this guy had over 40 guns? I mean, is there a point in time when enough is enough?
Because if you're a collector, there isn't. But the thing is, all these guns that they're talking about that they find in his house, those legal guns that were in his house, None of them are the guns he used for this shooting, if they found him in his house. The guns we're talking about are the guns he illegally obtained, illegal firearms that he illegally obtained or illegally modified and then used in this shooting. So those legal guns he was accumulating over the last 20 years that they found in his house never harmed a soul.
Is there I know you're a would it be fair to say you're a gun advocate?
Second Amendment advocate.
Second Amendment advocate?
Absolutely.
Is there
Bill of Rights advocate would maybe
is there a time and place to talk about not banning guns but gun control? Is all gun control bad? Or is
I do believe all gun control is bad by the current standard. I don't care when people talk about it now. I don't mind. I don't think there is a time that is worse to talk about it. I'm not.
So it doesn't matter.
I'm not trying to be like Mitch McConnell and say this isn't the time to talk about it. No, if you insist on talking about it, I would make the argument that there's never a time to talk about this because there's never a reason to be doing this because we have a right under the Second Amendment and we have freedom and liberty here. So, to me, perhaps this is oversimplifying it, but you could say, well, if we just made guns illegal, if we banned certain guns, if we did this, I would ask what is the specific law that one would pass to prevent this particular thing from happening. I mean, because you could easily say, and I will say this on a regular basis, I think they should just make murder illegal. And then this would never happen again, right? But of course, murder is illegal, as we all know. Murder is highly illegal and has the stiffest possible penalties. There is no. You're kind of getting into the territory that I think Marco Rubio was treading on, where I don't know what Marco Rubio said, but perhaps I agree with him.
But he said, why have gun laws? And I'm paraphrasing here, because criminals are just going to disobey them.
I agree with that statement
completely. But if that, I mean, by that logic, though, I mean, why have traffic lights? Because people are just going to disobey them.
No, people actually.
I mean, that's basically that logic there, though.
No, but people don't disobey them. You're not taking away anyone's liberty by putting a traffic law.
You're not.
That's keeping. That's not about security. That's just about functionality of a society.
But isn't the Second Amendment too? I mean, isn't it up for interpretation when it comes to well-armed militias and somebody defending their house?
No.
I mean, isn't there
the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed?
Okay, well, nobody's taking away guns, though.
They're trying to.
No, people aren't taking away all your guns.
Okay, no, there are people right now. They are not.
Isn't there? I mean, can't this conversation be put in place to? Because there's already gun laws on the books.
No, but Adam, you must know that is the conversation that's being had. If I happen to own, and I don't, by the way.
No, they're not talking about it at all in Washington. They won't have the conversation.
A lot of people are talking about it.
No, they're not. They're not talking about it on the Senate floor. They're not talking about it in the House.
No, they're not. They're not talking about it on the Senate floor or in the House. But they're talking about it, and many people are talking about it.
Yeah, but talking about it isn't really talking about it.
Well, but I mean, what is to talk about on the Senate floor? We have the Second Amendment. I mean, there shouldn't. Right now, they're not talking about it just yet. But, I mean, Chuck Schumer's talking about it.
But the thing is there's, again, nobody's talking about taking away guns.
There are a lot of people that want to take away people's guns.
Okay.
There are a lot of people.
I think that's the paranoid outlook
Adam,
on it.
are you honestly telling me that there are not a lot of people out there who are saying right now, if someone owns the type of weapon that this man owned, that they should not be allowed to do that those guns should be taken away?
No, of course there's regular people talking about that, but when
this has happened in other countries.
But you're gonna have regular people talking about a whole bunch of different things.
But this has happened in other countries. It's happened in Europe. Not that Europe is devoid of gun crime.
No.
They're not devoid of it at all, despite these weapons being banned. But, I mean, if we're going to have intelligent discourse on this, what is it that people want to do then?
Well,
what is the law?
Well, that's what I'm saying is bringing this to a real conversation.
Bringing what?
Bringing the issues that we've been having with guns in this country.
Well, then I would ask somebody...
within the last 3 years, we've had the last largest mass shooting in this country, which is the Pulse nightclub, which was that last summer, and then the following year we've had something that has already overtaken.
What would you suggest?
I don't know what I would suggest. I don't. I'm just saying that. Why not?
Well, until someone can actually answer that question.
But it's not my job to answer that question.
What would Chuck Schumer suggest?
I don't know, Josh. I'm just saying that we just need to have the conversation. That's what I'm saying.
What would Donald Trump have suggested before he was,
I don't know. Donald Trump has said that we'll talk about gun control.
Right.
That's what he said.
One of the key reasons I did not vote for the man.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
But. So I'm just wondering what law would people suggest? What law would have prevented this?
Josh...
Because you realize that the guns he used are illegal, right?
Are they illegal or were they legal?
Automatic weapons in this country have been illegal since the 1940s.
Okay.
So they've been illegal since, before our parents were born. So the guns he used are highly illegal. Illegal to own, illegal to modify, illegal to purchase.
And that's all throughout the United States. That's not just
Correct.
That's not just
all throughout the United States.
That's not just in one state or anything like that.
Correct.
Okay.
The only way you can own those guns at all is if you have an FFL.
Okay.
You are a federal firearms dealer, and you are not allowed to sell them to just anybody. You sell them to law enforcement. You sell them to the military. You sell them to other people with FFLs. Can have them. This man did not have an FFL. So these guns were highly illegal. Now, and this is what has happened in a lot of other countries too, getting a semi-automatic gun that can be converted to an automatic gun is not a difficult task. But it is still highly illegal. Highly illegal. Many guns can be converted to full auto, but again, highly illegal to modify that gun in any way, even to modify it to potentialities of automatic is highly illegal if you were to be caught with a gun that was modified in that way. So, I mean, can it be done? Yes, it can be, but again, highly illegal to do that. To modify it to like a burst mode or to something like that. So a lot of times then people then like to branch this out and say, well, assault rifles should be illegal. And I would ask a question because I have a fair amount of knowledge when it comes to guns. What is an assault rifle? Because truth is that there is no such thing.
There's no such thing.
There is no such thing as an assault rifle.
Okay,
it is a made up term. Any rifle can be used to assault someone, God forbid. And I guess is that then an assault rifle?
So what's the basis of that term then?
I don't know. The only thing I could possibly come to grips with on what an assault rifle is would be an automatic weapon, and those already are illegal and have been for 70 plus years. So already illegal. And again, every weapon he used, this gun that he shot out the window where you're hearing 50 rounds a minute, and then boom, pop another clip in, another 50 rounds a minute, highly illegal for someone to own that sort of firearm. You can own an AK-47 technically, or an AR-15, but it's not the same AR-15 and AK-47 that one would have in the military, one that would shoot full auto. I would make this akin to, it's illegal to put that huge motor, to buy like a Mustang and put that huge motor in it that comes out up over the, up out of the hood, like you see in movies. It's illegal to do that, to modify a car, to be able to, A, go that fast, and also it's illegal because it blocks your view while you're driving. But are there people out there that have the knowledge to be able to do that to a car? Of course there are. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people know how to do that. There's a lot of really smart mechanics in the world. I mean, a gun is a very simple piece of machinery. A gun can be made on the street with relative ease. I mean, it's really... Guns were invented, a long, long, long time ago. It's a simple piece of machinery. They can be easily made, and they can be easily modified. And there are laws to prevent one from doing that. To be honest with you, I actually disagree with those laws. Because to me, the only law one needs is it's illegal to shoot people. Ever. Never okay.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
That is illegal.
In the most simplistic terms, yes, people have the right to bear arms, but don't people have the right to not go to a concert and get shot at by some guy up on the 32nd floor of a hotel?
I don't remember reading that in the Bill of Rights, but you absolutely have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
That's what I was going to say.
So when someone does that, that is illegal. When someone infringes on another person's right of life or liberty, then that is illegal. What this man did was highly illegal. No one is questioning that. But it wasn't his right to bear arms that created said illegality. It was what he did with them. Just like you have the right to drive a car. Some people say driving a car isn't a right, it's a privilege. No, it's actually wrong. Try reading the 14th Amendment. But but either way, you don't have the right to run somebody over with your car. You don't have the right to drive up on somebody else's property. You don't have the right to just drive 120 miles an hour somewhere and be reckless and kill somebody. Of course you don't have that right.
Can I read you something?
Absolutely.
And this came from, it's kind of old. It's from 2012.
Okay.
It's from the New Yorker.
The year the world was supposed to end.
Yeah. Well, I think, hasn't there been lots of years the world was supposed to end?
Yeah, I think so. Wasn't it a couple weeks ago, too?
Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago. Then we did the Apocacast, too, and the world was supposed to end there, but who knows?
Keeps disappointing.
Yeah. But like I said, this is from the New Yorker from 2012. Does the Second Amendment prevent Congress from passing gun laws? The question, which is suddenly pressing in light of the reaction to the school massacre. This came right after Newtown. To the school massacre in Newtown is rooted in politics as much as law. For more than 100 years, the answer was clear, even if the words of the amendment itself were not. The text of the amendment is divided into two clauses and is as a whole ungrammatical. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Correct?
No, that is actually a different...
Well, hold on.
That's actually not how the Second Amendment reads.
I'm not done yet.
The word security does not appear.
The courts had found that the first part of the militia clause trumped the second part, the bear arms clause. In other words, according to the Supreme Court and the lower courts as well, the amendment conferred on state militias a right to bear arms, but did not give individuals a right to own or carry a weapon.
To people that believe in a living, breathing document of the Constitution, and to people who believe that anything is subject to interpretation, someone interpreted it that way. I do not believe that it should in any way be interpreted that way. I do not believe that Congress has any right whatsoever to legislate away any of our rights in the Bill of Rights or in the Constitution at all, and I definitely do not agree with that interpretation. Who else would not agree with that interpretation?
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security. You're saying security isn't in there?
I don't think it is. A well-regulated militia being necessary to that of a free state.
Well, I'm reading like multiple versions, and it looks like they all have security in there. Being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I don't know. Let me see if there's any other There's not. Hey, Josh. There's not like a new or a King James version of the Constitution.
Oh well, according to some of our, I guess I'm wrong with that. I do not recall the word security ever being put in there.
Is this the new international version?
Maybe, perhaps. I didn't think the word security was in there, but I could be wrong. Normally, I carry a copy of the Constitution with me, but I just emptied this bag out because I took it on the trip, so I do not have it with me. But I just thought it was a well-regulated militia being necessary to that of a free state. But if it's security's in there, then I stand corrected. But either way, no, I definitely do not interpret it that way. I interpret that as you have not only the right to bear arms, you also have the right to create a militia. And whether someone agrees with me now, whether someone agrees that that statement is true, or whether someone believes that that should be a right, I can assure you that James Madison, John Jay, and Alexander Hamilton, the writers of the Federalist Papers, definitely did not mean the interpretation you just read. They absolutely meant that you have the right to bear arms under any circumstance. Because
I'm not saying you're wrong, Josh. I just want to. Can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely.
Why would they say
the minute the government has the right to regulate something, you no longer have the right to that whatsoever.
Okay.
The second the government can take away that right in any way, it's there. So even a gun registry is highly unconstitutional. Simply being that if you have to tell the government that you're going to own something, you don't actually have the right to own it. You don't have the right to own it at all. You're asking permission of the government. So you don't have the right. You are being given a privilege to own a firearm. So, I that's why I believe that there are maybe a handful of gun laws throughout the entire United States that do not infringe on the Second Amendment.
Can you think
of any? I cannot. I cannot. No, I cannot think of one gun law off the top of my head that, in my opinion, does not infringe on the Second Amendment. That doesn't mean there isn't, though. That doesn't mean that if somebody says, well, what about this, and reads me a law, I'm not going to say, no, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, Josh, I'm going to, again, since you're a Second Amendment guy, and look,
a Fourth Amendment guy as well.
Look,
the Fourth Amendment plays into this just as much.
And what's the Fourth Amendment?
The Fourth Amendment is your right to privacy, your right to be secure in your persons and possessions.
Oh yeah, when we were driving here that other night when we saw the police.
Right. Right. Exactly. And that does have a to me, it does play a major role in this. That if you have to tell them how many guns you have in your house, then that's a violation of your Fourth Amendment right as well as your Second Amendment right.
Okay, Josh. Again, I'm not. Me myself, I'm not saying that people need to lose their guns or give up their guns. That's not at all what I am saying. What I was saying before is just having the conversation. Yeah, obviously you disagree with that. Okay. I for one do not disagree with that, obviously, because that was my own statement. But as far as what happened Sunday night in Las Vegas. What I think it was Bill O'Reilly that came out and said, Josh, that what happened Sunday night is the price of freedom. Is that something that you agree with?
No.
Okay.
No. Okay. What? Okay. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm misinterpreting it, but he's saying that you have to deal with this in order to be free. Is that? Am I interpreting that right? I didn't hear the statement.
I mean, offhand, it seems like that's what is.
Well, I would argue right now that we are
again simplistic terms. But go ahead.
No, I would not agree with that statement, especially considering that this particular country is not free any longer, and that in just the last year, it would be so easy. Let alone the last 500 years, it would be so easy to show all kinds of instances where this has happened in countries that are not free. So the idea that this only happens in free countries and freedom is worth it, hey, I think freedom's worth anything. I really do. If that were the case, if what Bill O'Reilly said was true, I would probably still say, okay, yeah, you're right. This is the cost of freedom. This is you don't get the same security that other people get. I could make that argument for certain healthcare bills. I have made that argument that, I would rather be free than have the government control something for me, even if it makes my life more comfortable. But when it comes to guns, I find Bill O'Reilly's statement to be ludicrous, because there's plenty of free countries or plenty of not free countries where people are getting shot. And our country's not free anymore either. So, and quite frankly, even though we're freer than most, it hasn't been free for a really, really, really long time. I mean, it really hasn't. They quite frankly, even well-intentioned members of Congress and presidents from both parties have trampled our constitutional rights. They have done so time and time again. So no, I definitely don't agree with Bill O'Reilly's statement at all.
I don't know. It seems like there's a rush to judgment when it comes to something like this too.
For sure.
I mean, it seems like that, and I don't know if we're going to agree on this or not, but it seems like there's a very different take when it comes to a guy like this doing this, mm-hmm. and like what happened at San Bernardino. Mm-hmm. Because
wait, what do you mean by San Bernardino? Refresh my memory. I should know, but off the top of my head, I'm not remembering.
That was the I guess it was the terrorist attack that happened at that office party. The couple.
Yes, okay. All right. I was kind of
having from Pakistan.
Yep.
But again, a different outlook on that. I mean, I hate going back to Donald Trump, because it seems like that's something that I've been doing a lot. Sure. But when it comes to a white guy in his 50s committing an act like this, it's, oh, well, you know what, maybe it's a mental issue thing, and even Donald Trump's like, you know what, I need to wait for all the facts to come in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when it was a couple from, the females from, Pakistan, mm-hmm. the husband, I don't know if he was born here or not, but she was here legally.
But he was Islamic, right?
Yeah,
I mean, is that what you're getting?
Yes, he was Muslim. It was, let's ban everybody from a Muslim country until our representatives can figure out what the hell is going on. I mean, isn't that...
Hey, Adam, I feel like you're making a decent point, but I feel like by directing it towards me, you are asking the wrong guy.
I'm not directing. I'm not really directing it towards you.
But I'm the only other guy in the room.
I know.
So I know you're not like trying to put me on the spot per se, but as a libertarian, I don't want either of those things. I don't want people banned from the country, nor do I want people banned from owning guns. So I just feel like I'm not the one who is qualified to answer that question. Mm-hmm. Someone who toes the conservative line perhaps would be more qualified to answer that question. One thing I will say, constitutionally speaking, or historically speaking, constitutional rights are for Americans. They are for Americans, and you do not have the right, whether it be from the Constitution or from anywhere else, you do not have the right to be here if you're not an American citizen. But if you are an American citizen, all that goes out the window. You do have those rights. You do have the right to bear arms. You do not have the right to shoot people with them. That's where it comes in. If there is nothing, I'm not saying that it's right or that it's wrong, but there is nothing unconstitutional about banning people from the country. I mean, there's absolutely nothing unconstitutional about that whatsoever. Just simply because, well, it doesn't ever say that in the Constitution. There's nothing in there that says that you can't, ban somebody for any reason, because those people aren't American citizens, so they don't have those particular rights. You can't give rights to people that aren't under your jurisdiction, if you will. Jurisdiction might not be the perfect word, but I can't think of a better one. Yeah, I mean, we can't give our constitutional rights to Australians or to Brits or Frenchmen or anybody else. By the way, I did share an Uber. We let a guy ride in our Uber with us yesterday morning, who was a guy from France who looked pretty freaked out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, he was he didn't really know what to do, and he spoke okay English. And he was just like, I can't get a cab to the airport, because the cabs were all backed up. We called an Uber instead, and it took a long time. I ride Uber a lot, and it took a long time to get it there. And we were just sitting there waiting for one to get us there. And we just told the guy, we're like, listen, there's 3 of us. The Uber says 4. If it gets here, just ride with us. He tried to give us some cash. We were like, no, just, it's fine, buddy. Just roll with us. And he was very thankful and a very nice guy. And I could tell he was just happy to get back to the airport and start heading home. But that's a side note I just thought I'd throw out there because it was a personal story that was semi-relevant. But
do you want to get into, because you mentioned something about it not being unconstitutional about when it comes to banning people. Do you want to get into that, or do you want to say that for another time?
We can or can't. For instance, when it comes to Trump's ban that he tried to do, I don't particularly agree with it. I don't agree with it at all, in fact. It's by no means the harshest ban that's been put on, people from other countries coming into America. The ban on Muslims that Jimmy Carter put on was much more specific. And, really definitely kept people out much more than Trump's potential ban. I don't agree with Trump's ban, though. I don't agree with Trump. There's very few things I do agree with Trump on. In fact, the only things I've agreed with Trump on pretty much at all are, like we mentioned last week, Adams, I said that, there's a lot of things that he says, that he has said since he's been president, that I agree with. I just wish he wouldn't say them so stupidly. I just wish he didn't speak the way he spoke.
Yeah, I mean, it's already 10 o'clock, so
yeah, no,
maybe we should save it because we can go on. We could probably go on with that.
I agree, Adam. I mean, and that's the problem with people like you and I who have been hosting shows like this for a long time. We love the sound of our own voice, and we can talk about this stuff forever. So you are right. I do agree with you, man. Especially since I just wanted to spend a little extra time on this Las Vegas thing. Not because I'm an expert on it at all. In fact, quite frankly, if you were watching the news from the minute this happened up until now, you probably actually know a lot more about it than I do. Because I've
been watching the news a lot on it. And
yeah, I bet you do, and I bet a lot of people listening do too. Because quite frankly, I mean, I was on a plane for a lot of it. I got home yesterday, and quite frankly, the last thing I wanted to do was turn on the news and do it. I was unpacking. But I was there.
Yeah, and
I was there.
I woke up because I fell asleep on the couch like I always tend to do, and I look at my phone and I'm like, and I was kind of like in a daze still. I was like, wow, what the fuck is this? Mass shooting, Las Vegas. I'm like, isn't Josh there or something? No, it wasn't like that. No, then I kind of fell back asleep. I woke up the next day, and I'm like, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, yeah, Josh got back yesterday.
Right.
So that's why I didn't call you or text you.
Don't worry about it, man.
But
no, I actually had several people here.
But yes, my wife did.
Back here in Michigan, I had several people who said that they woke up and they, I'm friends of mine. For instance, our other co-host from Seven on the Screen Live, Glenn Updike, sent me a message. He goes, I had no idea about this until I woke up, looked at Facebook, and saw that Josh Alexander checked in safe. And he's like, checked in safe from what? That's what he told me. He's like, checked in safe. What? And then he said he turned on the news and looked up. He's like, oh, something happened. All right. But I mean, hey, here in Detroit, it was the middle of the night.
Yeah, it was. 1 o'clock here.
Yeah,
just after 1 o'clock.
So it was. I mean, it was only 11 o'clock there, and well, technically it was before that, but that's when people started, when it really started being publicized. And 11 o'clock in Vegas, quite frankly, isn't the same as 11 o'clock here in Detroit.
No, 11 o'clock in Vegas, I mean, the nights just get going.
Right. So, but you are right, and we can talk about this later when we find out more information and some of the other, more political disputes we can talk about. But, Adam, you said a while ago that you were wanting to, we used to do a bit on Grouty, our first show together way back in the day. And for those of you who have actually been listening to us since back during the Detroit Grouty radio days and through the Majors Live and everything else, thank you and God bless you. You are awesome. But back in our Detroit Grouty radio days, we used to do the Deadcast and talk about basically just who died this week. And we had a couple of big ones.
This is a bad transition.
Is that a bad transition?
Because given what happened,
right? We're talking famous people, celebrities who have died. I'm sorry. You're saying this wasn't nice because of what happened. Yeah. Okay. No, I can see that. That is not what I meant by it. That is not what I meant by it, and I'm sorry for that if that was offensive in a lot of ways. But we did lose some people this week, some kind of famous people.
Well, yeah.
Not to say that famous people are more important than regular people, but we lost a couple people.
Two people in particular. We lost.
Big ones, yeah.
Well, yesterday Tom Petty passed away.
After I just saw him in concert and he was great.
When did you see him in concert?
2 months ago.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I saw him on his 40th anniversary tour.
Oh wow,
he was amazing.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, he was excellent. It was just.
Was it at?
I don't think it was 2 months ago. It was here.
Was it at DTE?
Oh, at Pine Knob, yes.
Oh, DTE.
Tom Petty called it Pine Knob.
Did he call it Pine Knob?
Yes, because when you've been around long enough here in the Detroit area, you've been around the music scene long enough, you call it Pine Knob.
I know. It used to be called Pine Knob.
It's still called Pine Knob. The hill is called Pine Knob. It's called DTE, Energy Music Theater at Pine Knob.
But DTE comes first.
Well, they can call it that because they have bought it, but the hill itself, where which is established for,
I think it was Tom Gore.
They sponsored it.
They sponsored it.
Yeah, they sponsored it. But the place is still called Pine Knob.
Okay, DTE though, and Tom Petty. I mean, I'm assuming it was a good show.
It's excellent. Yeah. It's incredible. I've wanted to see him for a long time. I'm thankfully I did, but I mean I had no idea that this was going to happen. He looked great. He sounded great. And, no, he was awesome, man. I'm a huge Tom Petty fan.
What's your favorite Tom Petty song?
Love Won't Back Down. Love Rebel Without a Cause.
Mine's kind of a weird one.
I love American Girl.
Mine's a weird one.
What's yours?
I mean, it was a single, which I hate having my favorite song be singles, just because it sounds like you're kind of a poser.
Sure.
But I can't help it. It's Don't Come Around Here No More.
Oh, great song.
I love it. It's a weird song. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess it doesn't kind of fit with like a lot of the other stuff that Tom Petty does.
Oh, and I love Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers as well, but some of Tom Petty's solo stuff, You Wreck Me and You Don't Know How It Feels and Free Fallin'. Also great songs. And a lot of people don't, if you're not a big Tom Petty fan, you don't differentiate the difference between the two, but there are Tom Petty songs, there are Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers songs.
Yes. And it's kind of like, I mean, I don't know.
But they still played them.
But you know what? People kind of, I've heard people get Paul McCartney with Wings and the Beatles kind of confused sometimes too.
Well, and to me, that's really silly because the Tom Petty albums came out while he was still in the Heartbreakers. Mm-hmm. He just kind of like
did his own thing sometimes.
Did them like in between. And what's kind of funny about the like, for instance, is it Wildflower? Is that the name of the Tom Petty album? Where he, where he the You Don't Know How It Feels.
Is it Wildflower?
Yeah, it's Wildflower.
Is it Wildflower?
Yeah. But that particular album, if you look at it, if you look at all the musicians that played on it, it's the Heartbreakers.
Is it?
Yeah, because he always said, like, hey, a solo album for me is, I wrote all these songs and I play lead guitar on them. Because, normally he's the rhythm guitar player and the singer. In the Heartbreakers. So, but he plays lead guitar and he sings them. But if you look, it's his guitar player playing the other guitar part. It's the keyboard player, it's the drummer, it's it's the bass player. That's still the guys he brought in because he's like, hey, these are still my favorite musicians to play.
These are the guys I trust.
Right.
Do you know who he asked to play drums for the Heartbreakers?
No.
Dave Grohl.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but Dave Grohl turned him down.
Oh, really?
I think he played with him like once or something.
Yeah,
but
he had when I saw him, it was the 40th anniversary tour, and it was the band.
It was the band.
It was all the originals. In fact, really cool part of the show, and I don't always like it when performers do this, but Tom Petty did such a great job of it because he didn't take too long to do it, but he went through because it was the 40th anniversary, and he told like a brief story about how he met each of the guys in the band. You know, and he told everything.
That's cool.
He told everything the keyboard player had done, and how he was just hands down the best rock keyboard player in the thing. And he told the story. The one I'll remember, and the one I'll kind of reiterate real quick is he told the story about his lead guitar player. Mm-hmm. And he said, he goes, man, it was back in back this a long time ago, and we were hanging out. We were at one of the local music stores. And, you back then you used to have the little like piece of paper hanging up in the music store that left a phone number and said name.
Oh yeah,
and like
the tearaway.
Yeah, I'm looking for a band to join. And he goes, and there was this one that didn't even have a phone number; it just had an address. And I looked at the other guys. I was like, hey man, let's take a chance. Let's take a chance and drive out there. He goes, so I drove out to this address, and I admit it was kind of on the seedy side of town, and I pulled up, and I walked up and knocked on the door, and he didn't show up at first. And we're thinking, no, let's just leave. And this guy walks out with this old Gibson guitar that looks like it had been drugged through the mud. And I was almost just like, you know what, man, let's just get out of here. And then the guy, he doesn't even speak. I said, hey, how you doing? He wouldn't even say a word. He just starts playing Johnny Be Good. And I looked at him and I said, man, you are going to be my guitar player forever. He goes, and that was over 40 years ago. And I just thought, like, man, what a cool story.
That is pretty cool.
But that's kind of what his stories were like, just really cool stuff like that. And he was, and I'm remiss here, I can't quite remember the name of it, but they opened every show of that concert with the first song they ever recorded. Not a song people know, but they opened every show on that tour, I guess, with this song. And it was a song that was over 40 years old. And it was a cool tune, upbeat, but it sounded kind of like an old Beatles tune.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, like just kind of like that era, it was just kind of like the upbeat, kind of like bubblegum kind of rock and roll. But
which Tom Petty's not really up. I mean,
it didn't sound like a Tom Petty song.
Yeah.
But this was the first song they recorded together, and they just made a point to. They opened every show with that, and then after that, man, they played. They played everything. They really cool. did. They were great. They sounded great. He was super gracious, and I was shocked, man. He sounded awesome. That wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Now he's gone.
Well, it was kind of out of nowhere too. My wife and I were talking about this too, and it seems like we don't have musicians and songwriters and
no, we don't.
Like Tom Petty anymore. I mean, there's nobody new. It seems like that's coming out or. No. I mean, who do we get? Like John Mayer?
Yeah, no. A guy like Tom Petty. He's a dying breed, man.
I mean, the closest thing that we might have to that isn't as old, and I hate using that term. But like a guy like maybe Beck.
Sure.
I mean, Beck is somebody that could kind of fall in line with that, but. As far as those singer-songwriters,
he doesn't have like that band that he's been playing with forever, though.
I mean, is Dave Matthews one of those guys? Then I mean, can you?
Maybe I'm, and I get a lot of grief when I say this. I'm not a big Dave Matthews fan. I respect him. I know he's a great.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan, but I could see where you would make that correlation or make that argument that Dave Matthews is more of a. A modern day, but hey, even he's not that modern day anymore.
But that's what I was going to say with Beck too. Is Beck's not modern day?
No, he's been around for 20 years.
Yeah, Beck's been around for a long time. But I guess my point is we're not seeing anything new with that. I mean, if somebody wants good rock music, they can't go mainstream with it.
No.
I mean, you've got to check out your local scene, see what's going on with that. You've got to kind of go the independent route with it.
You do.
I mean, my dad is a guy that goes to shows all the time. He was just at Paul McCartney last night.
Awesome.
And at the Little Caesars Arena, the new arena in downtown Detroit, which was amazing, he says.
I bet.
But I mean, that's Paul McCartney, though. I mean, everybody knows who Paul McCartney. But he also goes to a lot of I don't want to call them underground shows, but he goes to a lot of shows of performers that aren't mainstream by any means.
Sure.
I mean, they're blues musicians. They're more independent rock musicians. Something that you don't see anymore in the mainstream.
You know what, too, Adam, is I work with a guy in my day job. He's 24 years old. And he was telling me, the first thing he said this morning, he was like, man, I got a couple of buddies who were at that Paul McCartney show last night, and they said it was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, so you got 24-year-old guys who want to see a good rock show, and they have to go see Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
You know, because there isn't somebody that replaced him or them or those type of musicians. Yeah. But so I was like, man, that's pretty cool. You know, dude, you had buddies who were at that show, you know.
I mean, you should go see Paul McCartney regardless.
Right.
But
and you know what, man, I said this. You know what? I didn't say it on here. I said it on the Screen Live after Chris Cornell died. But I just said, you know, and hey, this isn't about us. This isn't about the fans. It's, you know, right now your heart should be with Tom Petty and his family, you know, who the people who really had a loss here and his close friends. But man, if there is that band out there that you are dying to see, you know, that you just really want to see, don't wait. You do not know when these guys will be around for. So
especially some of these. So I mean, these guys
get out there. I mean, I'm very lucky. I saw Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. I saw Soundgarden. I saw Alice in Chains with Lane Staley. You know, I mean, I've seen these. I've you know, made a point to see a lot of these guys, and it sucks to say that, you know, that opportunity is gone. So you never know when you're gonna get to see that band that you really are just dying to see. So when you have the opportunity, yeah, sometimes they're expensive. I paid way too much money to see Tom Petty, and I had great seats too. And by the way, I want to, you know, thank my friend Sarah for picking those up first, because I probably, if I had to pick them up right away, I'd probably been like, oh, I don't think I have that much in my account. So I would have thanked her, because she was like, hey, come on, Tom Petty, that's happening. And it's good to have those kind of friends out there that, you know, we'll throw that out there for you. But really, I mean, yeah, they're expensive, but what else are you going to spend $150 on? You know, what else are you going to spend $100 on, $75, $200, whatever it costs that day? You know, I'm really bummed. You know, I'd love to see the Eagles. They're coming soon, but it's not the same.
I'm not a big Eagles fan,
yeah,
so
I am a big Eagles fan.
I'll pass on that one.
I'm a huge fan of theirs, but I never got to see them with Glenn Frey, though.
Yeah, I'm just...
You know, I mean, it's not the same. It's not. You know, I'd still like to see them. I would still love to see that band. But it's a bummer, you know. So go see those bands that you want to see, because you never know. Stuff happens, man. You know, stuff happens. And you know, I mean, Tom Petty, you know, I mean, sure, he wasn't as young as Chris Cornell or Kurt Cobain, but still, like, he wasn't an old guy, man. He was,
he's only 60. I think he's 66.
So it was 66.
66. 66 isn't old.
You know, it's not. And like I said, I just saw him, and he was great. He was great.
It sucks.
Yeah, no, it does. It sucks. I was a huge fan. You know, and hey, here I am saying, like, hey, go see these people. But when I left there that night, I'm like, man, I got to see Tom Petty again. Like, next time he comes back, I'm coming again. And, well, you know, I didn't get that opportunity. But again, I'm not trying to I'm not the victim here. You know, there's a lot of people that were. Some people do live to be oldish, and the other person that we were going to talk about that did die this week is Hugh Hefner. Hugh Hefner of Playboy fame. Were you a Hugh Hefner fan, Adam? I said people seem to love Hugh Hefner or hate Hugh Hefner. I you know, and maybe I guess you know I'm lumping the rest of the world's population in with these groups of people that love him or hate him, and I don't know that I'm in either. But
when it comes to Hugh Hefner, for me, look, I never really read Playboy.
No, neither have I. I've never bought an issue of Playboy in my life.
I guess I can. Look, I mean, I think there's a lot of people out there that thought he was just a peddler of smut.
Sure.
But in many ways, though, he was a guy that advocated...
He's kind of a cool guy, though.
Yeah, I mean, he advocated for free speech, which I know... I mean,
what's the guy? Larry Flint. I mean, from Hustler.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I agree with Larry Flint's right of free speech, too. Hugh Hefner was about 1,000,000 times classier than a guy like Larry Flint.
Oh, absolutely.
You know? And again, I'm not a Playboy fan. I'm definitely not a Hustler fan either. But Playboy was not the same type of smut as Hustler, or especially as some of the stuff that you can find all over the internet these days. But was it still smut? Oh yeah.
But the thing is, I mean, it doesn't matter what you really thought of him. The guy was an American pop culture icon. That's what Hugh Hefner was.
Oh, absolutely. Especially that's what he was to people our age and younger.
Yeah, I mean, he was a pop culture icon, and I don't think there's any debating that. I mean, whether or not, I mean, if you thought he was objectifying women, and in a lot of people's eyes, he absolutely was. But
do you know who's a huge fan of Hugh Hefner?
Go ahead.
My mom.
Oh, really?
My mom loves Hugh Hefner. She loved that dumb show that he had with his wives or whatever.
What was it?
And she just
Girls Next Door.
Yeah, she was just heartbroken when he died too, because she just thought he was a cool old dude, you know. She just thought he was like a cool, funny old guy, and he kind of was. He was a good dude. He actually wasn't. You know, sounds like he was actually a very nice man, and you know, like I said, is Playboy smut? Perhaps. Is it the same kind of smut as other things? Definitely not. There's actually been really good writers for Playboy. You know, I mean, they're actually...
Didn't the guy who wrote...
I've never read a Playboy article in my life.
Didn't the guy who wrote The Giving Tree and Where the Sidewalk Ends, didn't he write for Playboy? I think he did.
Shel Silverstein?
Yeah, I think he did.
Perhaps, yeah. I have no idea. I know who wrote those books, but I don't know if he ever... I just know that people say, like, actually, the Playboy articles are actually really good. I mean, you know, it's very famous. As a history buff, the, you know, famous Jimmy Carter interview in Playboy was, you know, I mean, extremely famous. And Jimmy Carter actually revealed a ton in that. It's kind of funny because, you know, you look back in that interview way back when, it was such a huge part of American culture at the time. And you look back in that interview, and the thing that people went crazy about is, oh my God, he gave an interview for Playboy. And in that interview, they said, you know, do you have, I'm paraphrasing here because I don't remember exactly, but they said, you know, do you ever have, you know, unpure thoughts about, you know, women who aren't your wife? And he was like, yes. And people are like, oh my God, he said that. Like, what is that thing? Like, of course he does. He's a guy. 3 times before 10 a.m. I think would be the average for you know, for any man. What was actually astounding in that interview is what he said about Israel.
What did he say?
He actually said in that interview that he believed that Israel had a right to be here because of biblical fulfillment.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that was a hefty statement. That was a big deal. But people are like, oh, we talked about chicks.
But this is the thing. This is my impression of Hugh Hefner. Everything was out on the table with him.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It doesn't seem like Hugh Hefner. And again, I could be incredibly wrong, but it doesn't seem like Hugh Hefner was a guy that had skeletons in his closet. No. It seemed like any skeletons that he did have were out in the open.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
And maybe, I mean, is that something that you could maybe respect about
Absolutely.
about Hugh Hefner?
Absolutely.
That he wasn't hiding anything. I mean, he was incredibly upfront about his business and what he wanted to accomplish, and And I mean, he started Playboy. I believe I read like on $8,000 that he borrowed from his mom,
Really?
who didn't agree with the business in its foundation, but supported with what
She thought he had a vision
doing,
and that he was going to be successful.
And that's what he was supporting. He was supporting that vision, which again, Playboy became it was a pillar of it's Americana. That's what it is. Yeah. It's Playboy is Americana. It's a pillar of American entertainment.
What's kind of funny too is like he, if you go off his negative, his negative reputation, you have this, he was objectifying women. Maybe he was, or he disrespected women. Well, I don't know if that's true or not. But when Hugh Hefner retired, who did he have take over his company? His daughter.
His daughter.
Yeah. His daughter took over the company.
His daughter was. I mean, there was a female as the head of Playboy for 20 years. I believe that's what it was.
Right. And like he had that goofy TV show where he has these all like young hot wives. He's a polygamist, I guess. You could say he has all these hot young chicks.
I'm sure he wasn't in the Church of Mormon. But.
Right? No, he was not. Well, that polygamy does not.
No, the Church of Mormon does not condone polygamy.
But polygamist is not even if you say that it does or something. Polygamy does not. That term wasn't invented by the Mormons.
Yeah.
Polygamy simply means that you have more than one wife or more than one husband, I guess. But technically, although I don't hear about that as often. But something that you could kind of give him some credit for was, and you would see this back in the show from time to time, is that his like original wife, that later they did get divorced. She still lived on that property. He's still, like she lived in like another mansion, like off the side, and he still like took care of her, and so yeah, I mean, he's your stereotypical like dude or dirty old man. Sure, the marriage ended, and now he got married a couple more times, and he had all these young hot wives, air quotes wives. I don't know what really ever went on with him and all these, crazy gorgeous chicks that he had towards the end of his life. But he took care of people though. He really did. I his first wife would definitely, I don't think, be telling anybody that he screwed her over. She had it pretty good. So it doesn't seem like he was ever a guy that disrespected women. But was his business objectifying them? Sure. Would his business be so successful if there wasn't a whole bunch of people out there who enjoyed the objectification? No. And, smut, perhaps. As smutty as his competitors? Definitely not. Right? The least smutty of the,
of that industry.
Yeah, the Penthouse and the Hustler and everybody else. So, hey, it's a bummer. But, hey, at least he lived a long, happy life, though.
Long, happy life, very successful life. I mean, what else could you say about the guy?
Right.
Other than either you love him, you hate him, or...
Mm-hmm. There's two types of men in this world. Guys that would envy Hugh Hefner for what he did and what he had, and liars. In essence, is what I feel like you would have to say about. I mean, he's just kind of like that epitome of the male psyche, and like you said, most of us would keep some of that as skeletons in our closet, but not that guy.
No, he was out in the open with it.
Yeah. So rest in peace to. Unfortunately, maybe this was. As Adam brought up, maybe this was not the perfect week to bring back the Deadcast portion of the show, but rest in peace to Tom Petty, to Hugh Hefner, and very sadly to those who lost their life.
The 59 victims
right
in that Las Vegas, and the many more who were over 500 who were injured as well. So
yeah, and we were gonna mention Trump in Puerto Rico tonight. Adam, if you want to say something real quick, I won't. just because we are running long, and I know we want to get to the news section. If you want to say something really quick, we can.
I've got something.
We can hit that next week.
I've got something in the news section that I can make mention of real quick. And I'm sure Trump is going to say something stupid too between now and then.
Next week, I'm sure we'll have.
Well, no, next week we're doing it's deep issues.
Next week is the deep issues. You are very right, and we will plug that at the end of the show because that's going to be a very good one. But without any further ado, let us do Around the Empire with Adam Hernandez.
Thank you, Josh. First up, big day today, though. Big anniversary today. Josh, do you know what today is the anniversary of?
Nope.
Well, I know this is one of your favorite days, so I'm kind of surprised that you don't know what today is an anniversary of. But on this day back in 1991, Bill Clinton launched his presidential campaign.
Oh, wow. Yay.
So, yeah.
We're fresh off of his appearance on Johnny Carson, right?
Was it Johnny Carson?
Yeah, he appeared on Johnny Carson and won over some people's hearts. And in
was that Johnny Carson? Or was that the Arsenio Hall show when he was playing the saxophone? I thought it was the Arsenio Hall show.
I thought he was on Johnny Carson first, but I could be wrong.
But he was playing the saxophone.
No, he did play the saxophone on Arsenio Hall for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, what he really became famous was that he, as they say in political speech, in the previous Democratic National Convention, as governor of Arkansas, he hit one hell of a home run. And they love to talk about speeches at the national conventions, both Republican and Democrat, as the home run speeches that launch people's political career. And Bill Clinton gave a great one. I mean, he really did. If you ever want to watch a great political speech, if you're into nerdy stuff like that, he killed it.
Let's see, moving on here. According to this headline, Jared Kushner received hundreds of White House emails via third private account. According to Politico, Kushner and Ivanka Trump shared a third undisclosed email account that received hundreds of emails, including non-public information about White House business. It was shared with their household staff, raising questions about the extent of the couple's private email use for government business.
Cool. Is Trump going to make her share a jail cell with Hillary?
No, because that didn't happen.
No, it didn't. I think...
Which I know that's a talking point that you like to bring up sometime with.
Yeah, it is. No, I think Hillary's jail cell that he promised to the American people, I think Hillary's jail cell is going to be in the wall. Because neither of them are ever going to happen. She'll in the wall, blocking Mexico. There's going to be a special jail cell for Hillary. And what else would be there? I don't know. Is gun control, or maybe there'd be jail cells for all the people that had abortions.
Well, speaking of abortions, the House passed a bill outlawing abortion after 20 weeks. After passing in the House, H.R. 36 will move to the Senate. The GOP and Trump-backed bill, titled the Pain-Capable Bill, or Micah's Law, would make it illegal for a woman to get an abortion after 20 weeks of pregnancy. So that one is heading to the Senate. And you mentioned something about me wanting to talk about Trump and Puerto Rico. Well,
sure.
Did you see today, Josh, the video of him throwing out the...
Heard parts of it on the radio. I did not see it.
He was throwing paper towel at people in Puerto Rico who obviously were ravaged by this Hurricane Maria, that came in and wiped out the entirety of
every bit of electricity.
Yes, of the island of Puerto Rico. And he is sitting here pitching out paper towel like he's some third world dictator, and these are his untouchable serfs that he's trying to win propaganda.
Well, and hey, with the way Trump works as an executive, and the way the people of Puerto Rico insist on staying a territory and not becoming a state or allowing themselves to become independent, Trump is a third world dictator when he is in Puerto Rico. That is exactly what he is.
The point of all of this, though, Josh, for me, is this is just another continuation of Trump showing absolutely zero respect, and he's really showing his true colors when it comes to Hispanics.
Do you think so?
I do.
I don't know about that.
I do. I think this is another check mark on here on that list. And even he went on to say too, and that the statement that he said earlier today when he was talking about when he was asking, oh well, how many people died? Oh, what, 16? Oh well, basically that this wasn't a catastrophe. A real catastrophe is what happened in Katrina,
right,
when thousands of people died. I mean, what is he doing here?
I don't know.
What is he doing? And not only that. I mean, he goes on. He's sitting here. He's calling out the San Juan mayor. I mean, these are people that literally lost everything. And I think the former general who oversaw Katrina when it basically became martial law there. Mm-hmm. They asked him about the tweet where Trump was criticizing the mayor of San Juan. He was basically calling the people of San Juan lazy while he's sitting here at his New Jersey golf resort, golfing and basically taking another little mini vacation while people in Puerto Rico sit here and suffer.
Yeah, Adam, I don't necessarily see the link between him disliking Hispanics in this. I do absolutely agree with you that, I think he's just a disrespectful individual. I don't think he ever shows respect to anything. I don't think he shows respect to the office. And again, that's what the point I was trying to make last week on the show was basically, even when I agree with him, I can't stand the way the man talks. I loathe it. And some people will come to me and say, well, that doesn't matter. Oh, he says mean things, so you don't like him, or he doesn't, you don't like the way he approaches things. It's true, I don't. And I didn't like it as a presidential candidate, and I don't like it as a president. I wish him well in the way he, works as an executive, and I hope that despite me not liking the way he talks, that his actions outweigh his words. And sometimes I actually think they do. Sometimes I think his actions are okay, and I actually approve of them. And thus far as president, there hasn't been a ton of stuff that I've had problem with his actions, but I pretty much always have problem with his words. And not even just his words, the way he acts. Yeah, like you said, throwing out paper towel and just simply the way he talks, the tweets. Well, the tweets are ludicrous. Every one of his tweets.
You look at the optics of it too, and what I was getting at too with that former general who oversaw the Katrina efforts and that Trump tweet was, he said something that was very, very to the core. Mm-hmm. He said, well, the mayor of San Juan is living on a cot. I just hope Donald Trump has a good day of golf. Mm-hmm. You have a former general saying that about the president of the United States because of what he said on Twitter regarding this catastrophe. And that's what it was. It was a catastrophe. And if he's sitting there saying, oh, well, he's trying to downplay the amount of deaths that happen, you know what? Any Trump supporter out there then that has a problem with abortion should have a huge problem with what he said there. Oh, yeah, just 16 deaths. Oh yeah, that's no big deal. That's nothing compared to what happened in Katrina. What is he going to do next? Is he going to go to Las Vegas and be like, "Hey, 59 people. How many people? 59 people died. Oh well, you know what? This wasn't a catastrophe. What happened on 9/11? Now that was a catastrophe when you had thousands of people dying there."
So it's a good point.
I mean that's exactly what you're. That's exactly what's being said here. With that.
Okay, President Trump. Katrina was worse than Maria. You are correct. Congratulations, sir. You're correct. That particular hurricane that particular storm, that particular natural disaster was worse than that. Who cares? Why on earth would you choose right now to make that point? And I know he didn't make this point. I mean, Adam, you just threw it out there.
He doesn't make
hypothetically,
points.
But you could say that about this Las Vegas incident. It was not nearly as bad as 9/11. That is true. There is truth in that statement. Who cares, though? We're dealing with this one right now. So by that logic, what you should never do anything for a hurricane that isn't as bad as Katrina.
And that's exactly. And that's
you should
exactly,
never do anything for a disaster that's not as bad as 9/11.
And that's to carry on with that, Josh. It's he went on to be like, to make it seem like he was doing the people of Puerto Rico a favor in all of this. Oh well, you guys really put our budget out of whack. And we're gonna go ahead and help. That's what he made it seem like. He made it seem like he was going out of his way to help the people of Puerto Rico.
No, I mean,
no, you're not going out of your way to help the people of Puerto. You're doing your job as the president of the United States to give aid to American citizens who are as much of an American citizen as Donald Trump is,
absolutely,
as any New Yorker, as any person in Alabama or California or wherever. They're as much of an American as any one of those people are.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to downplay it, to gloss over it, it's sickening. He's an embarrassment. He's an embarrassment to the American people. He's an embarrassment to the fabric of this nation. That's what Donald Trump is, and he continues to equal new lows. It seems like every single week.
Yeah.
And you know what's even worse, Josh, is people still go out there and they still defend him. They still put the Trump spin cycle on to make it seem like, oh, you know what, he's this is actually a good thing that he's doing. Mm-hmm. No, there's nothing good about what Donald Trump is doing.
And I mean, I don't like the hypercriticism of Trump as much as you do. I think that part of this goes both ways, but you make some very good points, though. I mean, listen, I hope, like I said before, this is kind of off point a little bit, but I hope that not just Donald Trump, because we're not a dictatorship, by the way. I hope that the American people and the American system does right by Puerto Rico and fixes it. And it seems like we're getting there. I just wish Donald Trump wouldn't sound so stupid about it. I just do. I wish he wouldn't. I mean, it's better that he's there and he's finally doing something about it.
You know what, Joe?
But I mean, really, you're going to bring up the budget right now? I mean, I find it so ludicrous that Trump would bring up the fact that this is hurting our budget by diverting fun. What the hell are all our taxpayer money? What the hell is all of it for if it's not going to go to help somebody in a natural disaster?
And even the relief effort, Josh. I mean, I've heard this. I heard this excuse all weekend. Oh well, you know what? The roads in Puerto Rico are down, and he was talking about a big ocean, that we've got to get supplies to. And okay, if the largest, most powerful country in the world is stymied by an ocean or some down wires and fucked up roads, we're supposed to be intimidating North Korea at the same time.
Right.
We can go at the drop of a hat. We can go and invade another country, but we can't go and help other American citizens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's to me, it just doesn't.
No, a lot of parts of America are kind of far away.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico, Alaska, Guam, Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these places are kind of far away, but they actually still need aid. Or when something terrible happens, whether it be a natural disaster or something evil perpetuated by psychopaths,
other people.
Yeah, then that it needs to be handled. And hey, listen, I will say this: whether it was Obama with his natural disasters, or Bush, or Trump, hurricanes aren't the fault of the president. You know what I mean? I sometimes get annoyed with the whole a natural disaster happened and the president didn't fix it yesterday, so he's terrible. I actually complained about it with Bush, and I complained about it with Obama. That, like, come on, what were they supposed to do? You know, but Obama and Bush didn't say really dumb stuff. You know, they didn't try to publicize it, and they didn't try to fix it with a tweet.
Well, the last thing I'm going to say about this, Josh, is that whether or not Puerto Rico should be rebuilt, that shouldn't be up for debate. Whether or not the people of Puerto Rico are going to be helped by their government shouldn't be up for debate.
No, it shouldn't be. And I really would urge the people of Puerto Rico, and I know this isn't the perfect time. Maybe it's not the perfect time to have the gun control debate either. You know, I mean, but I know it's not the perfect time, but this is something that I felt strongly about for a long time. People of Puerto Rico, please, either become a state or become independent. Please. Do what's right for yourself. Because, much like, you know, I've said many times because of my libertarian-esque beliefs, that please don't sacrifice liberty in the name of security. It doesn't benefit you. And this isn't the fault of the people of Puerto Rico. They need to be helped. They're American citizens, and they need to be helped the same way any other American citizen would be helped. But really, you know, pick a side. There should be 2 sides in this debate, not 3. And unfortunately, the side that shouldn't even exist in this debate is the one that continually keeps winning in Puerto Rico. This idea that you'll stay a territory in limbo. You are a big enough spot. Become a state. Don't become a state. You know, become a state. Become independent. Become your own country again. You know, I mean, I do think that's important. And again, I'm sorry if it seems like this shouldn't be the time that I bring that up. You know, but I just feel strongly because I want Puerto Rico to be a state. They should be a state. It should absolutely positively be a state. And, you know, they meet the constitutional parameters, and there's no reason that they should still be in this state of limbo. They've been in that our whole life, Adam. You know, and they shouldn't be. It's not right. It's not right for them or for us, you know, to do this. But that doesn't really matter with this particular thing. You know, I mean, that's the right now of it needs to be that they are helped. You know, that's all there is to it.
What happened in the Yankees game?
Yeah, Adam is turning around looking at the Yankees game because the catcher of the Yankees just got hit directly square in the nuts.
Oh, no.
Like, right in the nuts. It was kind of terrible to watch, and they keep showing it over and over again.
I could see Trump getting up. You know what a catastrophe is? That's a catastrophe.
It would suck.
Jesus, yeah, man.
But do we have anything else on the news section?
No,
last?
No. Other than the big news stories of the night, that's pretty much it.
But hey, thanks everybody for tuning in, and do not forget to tune in next week where we will be going back to our deep issues subject of the month and deep issues this.
You can drag this out. I got to bring up our music. So
I will drag this out as
you're gonna have to do better than
that as I possibly can, Mr. Producer Adam.
Well, what's
no?
next
But
week?
next week is our Deep Issues podcast, second Tuesday of every month, and our topic, as selected by Pumpkin, will be the deep web / the dark web. This will be a very interesting one. This is one I've been looking forward to for a really long time, actually. And I'm glad that Pumpkin allowed us to do it. And I really hope you guys tune in. It's going to be a very cool show. There's a lot of information to talk about when it comes to this particular issue. The dark web and the deep web are fascinating.
I'm nervous about it.
I can tell. I know that Adam is he's kind of scared from this one, and we're hoping that we'll be joined by at least Ed Zaharsky and or Kyle Puska, who definitely have some good information on this kind of stuff, are deep issues experts. But this is going to be a good one. If you don't know what the dark web is, you need to tune in. If you don't know what the deep web is, you need to tune in. If you don't know the difference between the deep web and the dark web, and there is one.
There is one.
If you do not know the difference between those, then you, madam or sir, need to tune in to the X-Cast. Next week, it will be episode number 59A. It will be a Deep Issues episode, and it will be a good one. So tune in next week. Same time, same channel, our home right here at theempiremedia.com or on Facebook Live or in a myriad of other places.
Periscope,
where you can
YouTube.
find us. Periscope, YouTube. Definitely those places. Definitely Facebook Live. And definitely our home on the internet. Not in the deep web. In the regular web.
Yes.
It's right here on the regular web.
On the light web.
Yeah, the light web. The empiremedia.com is where you can always find us. New shows, old shows, and shows in the future where, yes, you need to be here. You need to be here next week for the Deep Web, Dark Web discussion. It's going to be a good one. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Thanks again to those of you who checked up on me and my other co-host from my other show while we were in Las Vegas, and God bless the souls and the families of those who were lost in that tragedy. Thanks so much for Josh and Adam for the X-Cast. Be here next week. Don't miss it. Thank you.
See ya.